There was a workday afternoon that I just had to walk away from my desk, and I moved to the couch in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. Not sick and not even tired, at least not in the way that you feel tired at the end of a long day, but I needed a break. And when I tried to come back to my desk and work, it was like I was completely stuck, immobilized. I could not move. My task list was waiting for me, it was open on my laptop, and my brain, instead of picking the next thing or even one of the things, it just froze. It just went quiet. Kind of like your computer when it has too many programs running at one time and it finally decides that, it would rather not and it just crashes. Yeah, that was me. And I sat there a long time. And if you came in and you asked me what was wrong, I honestly could not have told you. Nothing was wrong. I genuinely couldn't have told you because nothing was catastrophically wrong. The clients were happy, work was getting done, business was running, and on paper, things looked great. But something in me had just stopped. And I've shared this story before, but what I didn't know in that moment and what nobody explained to me is that what I was experiencing has a name, a real documented psychological name. And my business backend was exactly why it was happening. Today, we're going to talk about that frozen feeling, where it actually comes from, and why it has nothing to do with your laziness or your discipline or not being cut out for entrepreneurship, and what is quietly happening in your nervous system when it does show up. Most of us have heard of fight or flight. It's that activated, heart racing, adrenaline fueled response that your nervous system kicks in when it perceives threat. And then there is a third response. It's called the freeze response, and it's governed by what researchers call the dorsal vagal branch, which is the oldest and deepest part of your autonomic nervous system. When your system has been in high alert for too long, or when the low grade stress has been running all day long, day after day without relief, your nervous system doesn't stay in fight or flight forever. And at some point, it has to make a different calculation. So it decides that the most productive thing it can do is shut down, freeze, and not even in a way that other people may notice. Just a quiet pulling of the plug, a stillness that feels like paralysis, a brain that will not cooperate no matter how many times you tell it to do something, anything. That is not laziness, my friends. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from what it perceives as unsustainable threat. It can't tell the difference between a genuine life-threatening emergency and a chaotic Google Drive with 400 unorganized files and an inbox that hasn't been touched in months. To your nervous system, chronic digital chaos registers as chronic threat. And chronic threat, over time, leads to shutdown. Here's the piece to really sit with. Your nervous system is scanning your environment constantly, not consciously in the background, the way an app runs on your phone, whether you're using it or not. And your nervous system is asking a question on repeat: am I safe? Is this environment safe? So when your business backend is disorganized, your environment is giving it the answer: no, you are not safe, all day long. Every time you open your laptop and you can't find a file that you need, every time you sit down to work and you spend the first 20 minutes trying to remember what it is that you're doing or where you left off. Every time your inbox has 800 unread emails, every time you have 6 browser tabs because you're afraid to close any of them because you might forget or lose something important. Each one of those moments is a small signal to your nervous system, a tiny activation, a signal. Your cortisol ticks up a little, your shoulders creep up to your ears, and your brain registers, something is not right here. And research from UC Irvine tells us that after each of those interruptions, it takes us an average of 23 minutes to fully regain refocused state. So if that happens 10 times in the morning, you do the math. Your brain never actually gets to settle, and it's always in recovery mode. Over days, over weeks, over months of running a business in that kind of environment, your nervous system just accumulates stress. It does not reset at the end of the day. It builds and eventually it hits a threshold. And on Tuesday afternoon, you find yourself on the couch, frozen, completely unable to start or finish anything. And that is not a character flaw. That is a logical outcome of an unsustained environment. And now that we know why this is happening, I want to give you some very specific signs that your nervous system may be moving to freeze. because this does not always look like sitting on a couch unable to move. Sometimes it's much quieter than that. Sometimes it looks like productive procrastination. You're busy, you're doing all the things, but none of the things that you're doing actually matter. They're not moving the needle in your business. You're reorganizing your desktop instead of writing that email. You're color coding a spreadsheet instead of finishing a proposal. And you're staying busy to avoid the thing that your brain has told you is too big to start. The second one is decision paralysis. You open your task list, and instead of knowing what to do, you just stare at it blankly because everything feels equally urgent and equally impossible. So you spend 45 minutes deciding, what should I do? What should I work on? And then your window of focus is gone. The third one is the afternoon wall. And I mean a real wall, not just an afternoon slump, where by 2 or 3 o'clock, no matter how much sleep you've gotten, no matter how much coffee you've had, your brain simply will not cooperate anymore because it's been doing invisible stress work all day long. And it is done. It is tired. And the fourth one is the Sunday dread that bleeds into Monday morning, where instead of coming to your desk ready to work, you immediately feel the weight of everything that is waiting. And your nervous system, before you've even checked anything, is already braced for the chaos that it knows is coming. If any of these four things felt uncomfortably familiar to you, it's not a coincidence. It's just information. And you're not alone, my friends, but it's information. So what do we do about this? What do we actually do about this? We know why, we know what. What do we do about it? Because I never want to just leave you without some sort of a solution to help you. The first thing I want you to understand is that you cannot think your way out of a freeze response. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and decision making, it goes partially offline when your nervous system is activated, which is why telling yourself just focus or just start, it doesn't work. You can't think your way out of a freeze response. You're trying to use a tool that is currently unavailable. What does work is addressing both sides of this simultaneously, the internal state and the external environment, because they are in direct relationship with each other. On the internal side, you notice, oh, here's a freeze state. And the single most effective thing that you can do is a physiological sigh. 2 quick inhales through the nose and 1 long one through the mouth. So again, 2 simple inhales and then a long exhale through the mouth. I know that sounds super simple, but it is a tool that will work. It is one of the fastest ways to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, and it signals to your body, oh, the threat is gone. It takes just a few seconds. You can do it right now at your desk before you even open your inbox. Repeat it 3 times. It takes 30 seconds. And on the external side, this is where the backend piece comes in. The single most impactful thing that you can do for your nervous system externally is give your business a predictable, trusted structure. When your files have consistent homes, when your tasks live in one place, not scattered across 6 apps, 3 sticky notes, and some in your inbox, when you know exactly where to look for what you need and you can find it in 30 seconds, your nervous system stops scanning for threat. Every time you open your laptop, it gets to relax. Not because you did a breathing exercise, though please do the breathing exercise, but because the environment that it lives in all day long has stopped sending it danger signals. And that shift in your body is measurable and it is real. My clients describe it as their shoulders dropping and even opening their laptop on Monday morning, really ready to go, not bracing for the chaos. If what we have talked about today has resonated at all, if you recognize yourself in any of these signs, if the freeze response has been showing up in your business and you are ready to address both the internal and the external states at the same time, that's what we do in Strategic Blueprint. That's what it's built for. It's my 5-week program where we build your complete business backend alongside nervous system practices, not tactics bolted to one particular system, but 2 built together simultaneously, the way they were always meant to be. The link is in the description and there's no pressure. It's just there as an offering. So before I let you go, I want to give you one very small thing that you can do today. Not a full back-end overhaul, not a new system, just one thing. The next time you notice the freeze starting, before you do anything else, do the physiological sigh. 2 quick inhales, 1 long exhale. And then just open one thing, not your full task list, not even your inbox, just one thing. The single most important thing that can move your business forward today. Write it on a piece of paper if you have to. Post it on your monitor and give yourself 15 minutes with just that one thing. You're not trying to fix everything. You're trying to give your nervous system evidence that it is safe to begin. And beginning is all that it takes to interrupt the freeze cycle. Over time, as your business becomes organized, as things start to have consistent homes, and your brain stops doing that constant background scanning like the apps on our phone, the freeze will come less and less often. It may not disappear entirely because we are human and you are running a business, and that is inherently activated sometimes. It will stop being your baseline, and that is everything. Actually, that Tuesday on the couch that I was telling you about, that frozen afternoon, that complete inability to move, turned into the clearest download I've ever received about what solopreneurs need. And it became strategic blueprint. So if you're in your own couch moment, if you are reading this from a quiet place of overwhelm that you cannot quite explain, I want you to know that what you are experiencing is not the end of your business story. It's actually information. Your nervous system is telling you something important. Listen to it, and then come build something that lets it rest. And if this landed for you today, if the science of what's happening in your body finally makes sense, I made a video that goes even deeper. It's called Your Business is Dysregulating Your Nervous System, and the proof behind everything that we talked about today. The research, the 4 specific signs that it is happening to you, and the connection that almost nobody is talking about in the productivity or wellness world right now. I will link it right here. Watch that one next if you feel called. Stay gold, my friends.